Welcome aboard, everybody. My name is Doobyis. This is Fly in Formation. It's an interview series that I do as a spin-off to my mix show every week on After the Smoke is Clear. I play an hour worth of independent hip-hop and do my best to just kind of pay attention to all the scenes across Canada. And we're playing 100% Canadian hip-hop for season 6. It was always up near 100%, but now we've finally decided, fuck it, I'm not even going to start every episode with a Wu-Tang track. We're just going straight in Canadian hip-hop, start to finish. Today, for Fly in Formation, I'm welcoming back J.O. Big J.O, I guess, is the official artist name now. For anybody who can read good, you might remember this guy as J.O. Mairs. If you can't read good, maybe you thought it was J.O. Mairs or Mayor or whatever other variation of that. But welcome back, dude. It's good to have you here, whatever name you're going by.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude. So I guess let's talk about this name change, man. How much of a headache is that with music that you've already been posting under other names and stuff? Like, what goes into actually changing names between projects?
Honestly, the only headache I would say would be Apple Music, because they don't let you change it once you upload it. So everything else I was able to just kind of swap over and put everything on the Big J.O profile. Okay. Apple Music will keep it as J.O. Mairs, and then Big J.O is going to be a separate profile. That's kind of the only headache. I mean, for me, I don't feel like going to Big J.O from J.O. Mairs is much of a name change. It's kind of just like a condensed of it. Because, you know, if you know me as J.O. Mairs, I'm still J.O. Mairs. Ain't nothing changed. That's my actual name. So Big J.O is just more of an on-wax thing, just for the same reasons we were just talking. Like, a lot of people just confuse it. I've been called Joe Mars. I've been called Joe Mairs. I've been called J.O. Maris. All sorts of things where it's like, yo, man, like, I didn't think it was that difficult, right?
Well, and I do need to say, man, if people are searching for you on Spotify or whatever, and they just search for Big J.O without the punctuation, they're going to find a guy who's trying to rip off Fat Joe and just go by like Big Joe. And there were actually two different Big Joes that I looked at on Spotify today. So yeah, make sure you punctuate it, the J.O.
Yeah.
Is that your government initials, or like where do the J.O come from?
Yeah, I mean, the J is, the J.O is just more of that I tell people that kind of originated with Fife. Dog. He said, I'm on my J.O. bullshit and hoping that my day goes. So that's kind of what I remembered it from growing up and listening to hip hop. And like being on my J.O was something that I was saying on records from before I was calling myself J.O. I've gone through names, right? So
weird, as I was looking at your Big J.O profile today on Spotify, I noticed there was a project from, I think it was 2022 or 2023, because fuck you, that's why. I completely slept on that. What name did you release that under the first time?
That came out under J.O. Mairs.
Okay. I don't know how I missed it, man, because I was following you as J.O. Mairs, but
yeah. That album was more of a compilation of like all the J.O. Mairs records that came out as singles. There was a J.O. Mairs EP that came out like 2016, 17. Okay. And a lot of the records just got slept on because I things weren't where they are now. So I kind of compiled everything into a project and then re-released it, right? Just with everything together. And that was basically my answer. If anyone had anything to say about like, oh, why would you, repackage all these old things? Because fuck you, that's why. Like that was the sentiment behind that project.
What about the Joshua album? That last time I talked to you and Heavy G, that you were kind of gearing up for that project. I was just about to hit the internet or whatever. And I noticed it's still on J.O. Mairs on Spotify. Is it going to get swapped over too, or?
I'm in the works of dealing with that right now, because that was the one album that I dropped through a distribution company, like a small label, as opposed to like uploading it myself. So everything that I did myself, it was an easy swap. Unfortunately, when it's someone else involved, now I got to email them like, hey, can you guys look into switching this over? And I'm just waiting for the reply from them. So
always fun stuff behind the scenes, man.
Always.
How about Run and Gun? Is Run and Gun still a thing, or are you guys on your solo grind at this point?
Run and Gun is always a thing. Okay. Run and Gun season, RXG season never ends. So when you see a J.O project drop, it's run and gun season still. You see a Heavy G project drop, it's run and gun season. And then run and gun is always going to come back around and give you more, because we just have music in the tuck that needs to be serviced, So
nice, man.
yeah,
Well, and
run and gun never dies.
there's some kind of more personal stuff, like artistically, that you can say on a solo album than you can get into really with an album where you're, gotta match bars with somebody else or whatever, and find topics to talk about with a homie. And speaking of which, so your newest EP, Maui, it's named after your daughter, right?
Right.
Okay, so and the whole thing is kind of just, it feels like, dad raps, which some people might hear and be like, oh, I don't want to hear dad raps, but I think you did great on it, man. I think, well, one thing I noticed is that, like, I listen to a lot of indie rap, so I hear a lot of artists who have their first son or daughter, and they pick up the pen and they write a song about it. There's a lot of those out there, kind of letter to my child type of music or whatever, and not just indie rappers. It's kind of been a trope across like a lot of famous artists too or whatever. It's a big moment in people's lives. But what made you want to do an entire album instead of just kind of the one song?
Honestly, it was gonna be longer because I capped it at 6 songs, but like initially I was like, yo, I'm gonna do like 10, 11 songs, and I feel like that was just because there was just so much going through my head. I felt like I had a lot to say. So I was like, yo, man, let me just make it a project, and it's more so, instead of it just being one song to go back to, when she grows up and she can listen to it and have like a vinyl of it or whatever, she can know like, okay, this little collection of songs was all inspired by me.
Nice, man. Are you gonna do vinyls for it, or are there physical copies of it?
Yeah, I'm gonna do a limited run of it. Because I know a lot of like some of the fam is gonna want a vinyl if I do some vinyl, and I want to make sure that she has a copy of a vinyl of it when she grows up. Because I know vinyl is something that kind of reemerged over the last, say, decade or so.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much longer it's gonna go. I could see it going on for a long time, but I want to make sure no matter what happens, like she has a vinyl of that record.
I think compared to CDs, they say like CDs will stop working after X amount of years, just like that it won't let you read the data off of it, and especially if they get scratched up or whatever. But I think vinyl is pretty much, as long as you don't, melt it or whatever, or scratch it up too, could happen. But it stands the test of time a little bit better. So
yeah, for sure. And that
people looking to have physical copies. Yeah,
exactly. And the vinyl with that warm audio sound you get from vinyl, I always loved that too. And I don't have a project on vinyl yet, so that might be the first one I press.
Nice, man. Nice. So big moment for you then, I guess, kind of having your first kid, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so will you end up writing a second one if you have another kid? Like, what about your first son? Doesn't he get an album, or?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Because the thing is, like, it's not like it wasn't something where I was like, okay, I'm gonna sit down and put a big effort into putting this album together and this and that. It was more so just like, as things were happening and as I was like having thoughts about the situation, I would just write something. Right. So like the project was done over a course of like a couple months from the time that I found the gender out to a couple weeks after she was born. The last song was recorded. Right. So it was just like a matter of, when I caught certain feels and then caught a certain vibe, that song is going to come about. Right. So if I'm having a second one, if I have a son, I'm just like, you're my first son, whatever, like I'm sure there's going to be a new set of feelings to go off of to write some new songs,
Yeah, man. Did you, like, I feel like, you kept it pretty topically fresh. Different songs kind of, like you said, talk about different aspects of fatherhood. Did you, but I guess on Dad Era, you even referenced some of those songs I was talking about that have been, done before by other artists or whatever. Did you have to consciously kind of avoid, doing what's already been done, or come pretty natural to just have some originality there?
It was pretty natural to be original about it, because honestly, it's like, because like I said, in that era, like songs just hit different after I heard them, and just I didn't go and search out to listen to these songs. Like it just at different points. Like I remember, like the way I listen to music. Like if I'm not listening to myself,
Right.
or like old music, like Isleys and Temptations, that type of stuff. If I'm not listening to that, it's usually a large playlist based on a vibe. So if it's like, okay, this is like this type of hip hop or this is R&B or whatever, and there's so much songs in it that I don't even really like sift through and pick. I just put it on shuffle and skim through, right? And when I stop at something I want to hear. So one day, like I'm driving and Violent Crimes, the Kanye joint comes on, and it's funny because I knew he mentioned his daughter in it, but I never really listened to that song in the headspace I was in. So when I heard it and it hit the way it hit, knowing I had a daughter coming, I was like, damn, And like when I went to go write Dad Era now, it's like I'm not thinking about making a song that sounds like that or trying to touch on the same type of topics. It was just like more about this is how I feel right now, and this is how these songs are starting to sound to me now.
Yeah.
So
have you thought about like how old will your daughter be before you play it for her, or has she heard it now? I guess.
I mean, well, she's heard it play. She doesn't know what's going on, but I've played it. Because it came out while she was here, So like during that process where we're getting the mix and master and all that done, like, and I'm playing the songs in the crib, she's here hearing it, But
yeah, okay.
She's clearly probably not going to remember it in the next little while. But as far as how old she'll be when I actually like play it for her or like explain to her, hey man, we'll see how she develops and what she likes to listen to, But it's not anything. There's nothing negative about it. There's no cursing in it, anything like that. So it's not.
I was just gonna say, I don't think you swore at all, right?
No, not once.
The entire thing, yeah. So
yeah.
Could play it for a kid for sure, yeah.
Absolutely. So like, I mean, she'll hear it when time is right. It's not something I'm gonna hold back from her or anything like that, but I can't say exactly when I plan to let her hear it.
How about the rest of your catalog, man? Because listening to it, I was like, okay, this is all music that a kid can listen to. But some of your stuff, you talk about some street topics and some topics that you might not want your kid hearing or whatever for a while. Have you thought about like what does it look like when she gets old enough to kind of explore the rest of your catalog?
I mean, I know that time is coming, and that's how a song like Apples came across. Like the song Apples on the Maui project, like that's like, I know inevitably she's gonna know what I do. Sure. She's gonna know what I've done. She's gonna know what I've said. She's gonna know all these things. So that's why I just say, I hope you fall far enough, but not too far.
Right.
I hope you see all of me, not just the good parts. I hope you could take the good parts, and I hope you understand that if I fell short, that's not all of me, So like, I know she's gonna hear it. I know she's gonna have her opinion on it or feel however she feels about things I've said or done. But Apples is kind of like the lead up to that. This is the disclaimer.
Right.
Now, when you hear the rest of the catalog, just understand, like, I'm your dad first. I'm who I am right now, and what I'm doing, that's who I am first.
Yeah, okay. I'd kind of wondered, like, maybe you had some intention to, like, okay, so 6 years from now, I'll have to take down the rest of all my music and only have the grown stuff from here on out or something.
Yeah, no, it's going to stay up there. It's going to stay up.
Nice, man. I mean, I think that's big, too, for a kid to be able to understand that their parents have been through shit and that their parents have, made mistakes or done things that maybe they aren't necessarily the most proud of at every point throughout the rest of their life necessarily, right?
Exactly.
There's a lot to be learned for a kid seeing that and being able to talk about that experience with their parents too or whatever. So yeah.
1,000%.
Yeah. So one thing I caught was there's a bar on this album where you mention about giving like her first date a real straight face stare. And like letting him know that you're not gonna fuck around if he's fucking around, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, like, is that something that still actually happens, like the dad with the shotgun on the porch thing? Because I've personally, any dad that I've had to encounter has been pretty friendly with me. Did you ever have experiences where people had the scary dad or whatever? Like, is that actually something you're trying to do?
And not to say I want to be the scary dad. It was more so the day I straight face intimidate her first date. So to intimidate someone, you don't necessarily have to be scary or put a gun to them, right?
Yeah.
Like even like with my nieces, like whenever I'm introduced to like a boyfriend and everything, they'll say, hey, what's going on, man? When you hail them up, like that hail up is so strong, and you just make sure that they know, like, yo, I'm strong as shit, eh? Like that's my niece you're dealing with, right?
Yeah.
So just like little things like that. Like I've never really had to encounter like the mean dad, because I've always been like good with respecting my elders, and just I'm not afraid of the dads, you know, because I know I'm not on some bullshit. So like I'm not gonna meet someone and just, you know, have them be like, oh, you're not good enough for my daughter, or whatever the case. So like I just go in respectful how I am with everybody, like all my elders. So
I also think, you know, parents these days kind of realize that like you can only really be so overbearing in your kid's life before they've run off in the other direction and, you know, just cut you out as much as they can or whatever, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
So you just gotta be intimidating enough that they know you're not playing and that you're serious about your kid, you know. But it doesn't necessarily mean, you know, I'm gonna pull the strap on them or nothing like
that. Fair enough, man. So I've been hearing like throughout, you know, Joshua, you had a lot of kind of more introspective stuff, and likewise on Maui. Now this is like some kind of reality raps, very grounded in reality and based on, well, you know, not that your other music doesn't sound like it's grounded in reality, but just I don't know, it's that grown man shit at this point, man, and
more everyday lifey.
Exactly, dude. So I wanted to kind of ask, like, I think that comes with maturity, right? Is like people stop talking less about like a fantasy life that they want to achieve as they kind of come into security with themselves as an adult more so. And like, do you think that shift has happened kind of just with age, or has it been a conscious thing that you've decided to do to kind of move away from certain content?
Honestly, there's a time and a place for everything. It does come with age. And I do feel like everything I've done basically since the beginning of J.O. Mairs has been pretty grounded in reality.
Right.
It's just there's a time and a place to talk certain talks, you know, and you can tell the difference if you listen to Maui and Joshua and then you listen to Contra and Super C.
Right.
You know, when me and Gu are in run and gun mode, like we're talking a certain type of talk, you know. And even when you go from Contra and Super C and move up to like Run and Gun Season 2, the project we put out last year, there's some more introspective talk in that from me and Gu, you know. So like it just comes to there being a time and a place for everything. There's going to be times where, you know, we're going to catch a vibe and we're going to talk a certain type of way. And then there's going to be times where, you know, we're going to be a little more introspective. I feel like there's more of the introspective moving forward just because, like, you know, you get older and like having kids and just living life in general. Like if you're not directly in something, like I've never been one to talk super street all the time. Like I've done what I've done, I've seen what I've seen, I've been where I've been. Right. So I can reference it, I could talk about it, but I've never been one to like have that as my main topic of conversation. Right. You know, it's just I can talk about it, you know, I can talk about it. But yeah, I feel like the further removed you get from it, you know, you'll just kind of
for real. Yeah. As we go forward, though, we are still going to see some of that side of you with the new projects coming up and stuff. Okay.
Yeah, a little bit here and there, you know. Yeah, a little bit here and there. I talk my talk when I feel like it.
What can you tell me about what you do have coming up? I know there's a full-length album, and you mentioned maybe even several or something.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got into this habit that I've taken from a few different artists that I rock with. One of them being Sazy, who we recently interviewed. Me and him talked one day, and it's just like, yo, we just got to put out a lot of content, because if we're not going to be, you know, these majors who are putting super budgets behind everything we do, like we just got to flood them. We just got to give them content, and it's easy for us to bang it out because we're nice like that. We can just cook and just let it off. So I'm gonna let a bunch of stuff off through Bandcamp, and they'll eventually touch streaming. So like I have Big J.O season, which was like kind of just like the saying, hey, yo, I changed my name. This is what it is on Wax now. It's just 3 tracks, a little 3-piece I put on Bandcamp last week. It's going to hit streaming this week at the end of the week. Just 3 tracks, no hooks, all bars on like some sample loop type joints. So like, and they're not new either. They're like, it's stuff that I've had in the tuck that I'm just like, all right, it's time to let these things, get
clean out the vault.
Yeah, you got to start cleaning out the vault. So a lot of vault cleaning is happening. Some of the vault cleaning that's happened in the songs that were done like last year before. But I got a huge catalog. So like, it's really about just piecing together what works together and putting projects together. Joshua 2 is in the works right now. Contra 3, the next Run and Gun is in the works right now.
Dope.
We got a Run and Gun 3-piece, like little like short EP that's gonna come out before that. Like there's at least, and then counting Heavy G's solo projects too, there's at least maybe 6 projects coming out between the 2 of us before the end of the year.
Damn, man. Good to hear. Good to hear. I'll continue supporting them over on Atsic for sure, dude. Looking forward to hearing all that. Dude, I wanted to ask you about like, I think a lot of musicians kind of, especially through their 20s and stuff, think like artist life, family life doesn't necessarily go together. That it's tough to do both of those things simultaneously. You see a lot of people duck out of the scene when they have a child, and then they come back 12 years later to drop another album or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I was thinking about how like, okay, but maybe it also means like, well, shit, I better make more money off this fucking music stuff, so it might spur somebody to drop, like you were just kind of saying, you and Sazy were talking about. How are you feeling about kind of artist life mixing with more family life and, keeping bills paid and all that shit, man?
I mean, honestly, it's exactly what you said. It just more motivation to just keep dropping music. You know what I mean? And just drop, especially in a situation like mine where I have the music there. It's not like I'm worried about, oh, I got to get up, I got to find time to go to the studio and record. And I've been recording at the crib for the last like year and a bit.
Right.
I have my setup. I record here. If anything, I'll ship it off to Eric Gordon for the mix and master. I'll go check him by the crib every now and again, do a couple of mixing sessions, but like manageable appointments, like I can schedule it in. It's not like, I'm sure like things will get busier as she gets older and you got to take her places and whatever the case. But like being able to cook at home and B, having a back catalog to release music with, like, I don't really see there being like a big, like, oh man, I got to step back for a little while. It's like, this is foot on the gas season, if anything.
Yeah. Has touring ever been a concern for you? I feel like a lot of indie artists, in the Canadian scene, like it's a split. Some guys will do the like cross country tours or tour down into the States or whatever. And then there's a lot of guys I see who just they do some local shows here and there, or, a show out of town here and there, but it's never really like going on an extended tour, which might be trouble if, you're leaving a small child with your significant other to take care of or whatever as you go off across the country. Like,
yeah. I mean, I hear that. I've done one tour. I don't know, Fresh Kills, the producer?
Yeah.
So me and Kills went on a run in like, man, I don't even remember when this was. This is maybe like 2014 or 15, maybe something like that.
Okay.
And we went all through the States, like through like 20 states, gone for the whole month of March.
He's one of those guys that does tour. I
he's
actually
a road guy for sure.
Got to shake his hand when he was out here in Lethbridge a while back, and I've talked to him on the show as well. So definitely shouts to Fresh Kills. Yeah,
I salute Fresh Kills forever for showing me that side of the road. Like, it was kind of like a spur of the moment thing. It wasn't like planned. It was just like last second. He was like, "Yo, man, the guy that was supposed to come on this tour is the driver. He kind of fell out of it. We don't have a driver. Like, you have a whip. Would you want to drive your whip and like do this tour with us? And you basically get to like open for us every night." So I'm like, all right, bet. Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah.
I kind of just made the decision. I was younger back then. I didn't have much to do. So I was like, all right, yeah, let's get it. And after the first night, he was just like, all right, we're going to merge our set together. So we come out as like one set where you'll go on first, but it's all like one thing because like I killed the place, right? So we kind of just put something together and like we had a formula.
So was he playing live beats for you then? Like actually merged together like that, or?
No. So he had another artist with him, Mad Dukes from Buffalo.
Okay.
They had like some albums together that they were promoting, and then I had just dropped a album not too long before. So I just pressed 100 copies of that and brought it with us, and then was just trying to work on moving my album.
Right. Yeah.
But
fair
yeah,
enough, man.
yeah.
Dude, I've been asking this question to people lately. It's a little bit of a weird segue. There's no segue at all here happening. I'm just going to ask you a random question. Oh, you got more to say about that last
Before I
thing?
get that, so I just realized I didn't really answer your question about like the touring itself.
Maybe I cut you off. Sorry.
No, it's all good. So after that one tour, like I kind of understood, like, okay, this is what needs to happen to do the road thing. And it wasn't all glamorous, but like I've always thought back to that tour and said, okay, I liked these things about it. I didn't like these things about it. So if I'm going to tour again, I'm going to try to line it up in a way where like I'm good the whole way through.
Right.
And then separately, aside from like just my thought on it, it's more so I just need the connections and I need to start stringing together the contacts and the dates to be able to do it. But I'm definitely open to touring, 1,000%. Nice, if I can make it make sense.
I got contacts out here in Alberta. If you're looking to book, Edmonton, Calgary, whatever, Lethbridge, Red Deer, people sometimes do shows in, but definitely Edmonton, Calgary for sure.
Say less. I'll keep that in mind because I'm definitely interested.
Hell yeah. So this question I was gonna just quickly cut to was, I've been asking people, when's the last time that you wrote a bad verse? Sounds like you have definitely spent a lot of time writing recently. Does it all hit records, or do you write verses and go like, what is this the next day sometimes?
I don't think I've done that since I was like 15. And even then, I don't even think I've done. Honestly, I'd have to go back and listen to like maybe something I recorded when I was like 16, 17 and be like, yeah, this verse is kind of weak. But there's going to be things about the verse that I like. It just might not have been delivered. That's the thing. When I say it was a bad verse, it was more so the way I delivered it when I recorded it. Sure. But as far as what I put on the paper when I write it down, I couldn't tell you last time I wrote a bad verse.
Fair enough, man. Yeah, no, I like asking it because there's all sorts of different ways that people can answer that one. But that's a good answer, dude. Have there been changes to your creative process over the years? Like, your writing style or record? Well, you said you're recording at home now. Do you engineer yourself?
I mean, a little bit. Like if I was to put together an EP straight out of the crib and put it out, it's listenable. It sounds good. But I would rather send it to Eric just to touch it up, you know. But yeah, I can engineer myself. Like as far as recording myself and structuring the track, I'm great with that. But to sit down and like mix the project and like be meticulous about every little thing, I can do it. I just don't like to do it. It's irritating to me. I get very
How about the writing process? Have you changed like how that goes over the years? Has it got easier or anything?
Not really. I feel like the writing process has been pretty similar. It's been straightforward for the most part. As far as just like little signals, like the couple of things I bounce back and forth from is like, because I used to write in my BlackBerry.
Right.
And then all the phones turned touchscreen and I didn't like typing in them. So I went back to writing on pen and paper. And then I went to writing in my phone and then I went back. So like right now, like I primarily write in my book. Like I write with paper and pen, and then if it's not accessible to me, I'll just write on my phone. Right.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So that's basically the process. I have my little signals of where I put dots and dashes and stuff so I can remember the flow pattern and where I'm supposed to come in and stuff like that. But
do you mark like breaths and stuff like that? Like where it's best to breathe or like where there's a pause and stuff like that? Or what type of dots and dashes are you using?
Just if there's a pause in the bar. So like everything is on beat, right? So like if something comes in right on the one, then I know if it's at the front of that line, it comes in right on the one. If there's going to be a little stop before I jump in, there might be 2 dots or 3 dots or a hyphen, depending on what type of a pause it is before I jump in.
That's smart, man. Yeah. It's high tech for writing in a book. There, you gotta incorporate some shit like that.
Yeah, it's because like what was happening to me is I was going back to verses that I wrote a few months ago and I didn't remember how they went.
Right.
So I was like, there's got to be a way for me to, signal myself so I know how I wrote this, like how this is supposed to be spit. So.
now that you're recording yourself at the crib, like, do you find that pretty much everything you write, you then jump into the booth to record right there?
For the most part.
Yeah.
Before the baby came, definitely like I'll as I'm writing, like I'll finish a verse and I'll just record it, and then I'll start working on the hook, then I'll record it, and now it's just like depending on what the timing is like, I might record it like the next day or maybe a couple days later, depending on what it is.
You got to have a quiet house so the kid can sleep or whatever. Yeah.
Oh no, it's not about her sleeping. It's just as long as she's not making noise, or if I'm not tending to her, then I can record, right? Because like she sleeps fairly heavy for the most part.
You're lucky. You're lucky. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about this, dude? I think, and it's something I saw Def 3 doing, where he was making weekly posts about like something he's grateful for. And I was like, I want to start asking people something they've been grateful for in their artistic journey, because I don't know, I think it's important to have that gratitude and express that gratitude to the world sometimes, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So is there anything that sticks out to you that you've been grateful for? Just, throughout the years?
1,000%. Throughout the years, like, I can tell you from the time I started making music, I've paid for studio time. Like, I could probably count on my one hand the amount of times I paid for studio time. I'm grateful to the people that believe in me enough that they just want to cook. Like, I've worked with a few different engineers, and it's like as soon as I meet with them and we connect and we chop it up a little bit and I play music and then we work on music, they're like not even tripping about, they're like, don't even worry about it, let's just cook, and it always turns into that. So like, I'm definitely grateful for the engineers that I've worked with, the producers I've worked with, that just understand that we're both hungry and we're both trying to cook and we're just trying to get to it. And, they're never hunting me for studio time. So that's one thing I'm definitely grateful for, because I know a lot of people who even
don't
put
have
music
those
down because
relationships.
they couldn't afford the creation process.
Yeah, definitely, man. It can get pricey if you can't find somebody who wants to work and who's down to make the entire beats for a project or whatever.
Or if you can't do it yourself.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of collaboration like that, is you mentioned Joshua 2 is coming out. Is the other Josh gonna be doing the beats for that? I forget what dude's last name was, but shouts to the other Grant. Josh. Yeah, okay. Josh Grant.
But yeah, the Joshua series is going to be me and him, just because that's how it came together. We're both, like, my first name's Joshua as well, so like we're both named Joshua. That's how that came about.
Yeah,
and it was a joke at the beginning too. We're like, yo, we should just drop a project together and call it Joshua, and we laughed for like 5 minutes, and then we're like, yeah, let's do that. So he's definitely on board. He's already been sending me heaters. We have like maybe 5 joints in the tuck. I want to build it up. I want to do it maybe like between 10 and 12 before I call it. And then, we'll get to that before the end of the year, most likely.
Nice, man. So how often are you writing now? Like, are you coming up with new songs every week or staying at it pretty steady?
Yeah, at least one idea would come across a week. I might take a week off here and there, and then I might do 2, 3 in the next week. Like, it's pretty up and down, but I feel like I'm steady. It's just at this point now, I'm kind of in this space where I'm just situating all the catalog. I'm putting together projects, executive producing the projects, like the sequencing, and then hitting up Eric and saying, okay, we got to start getting mixes done for this, and that. And like, so I'm more in that mode. I'm more in executive producer mode right now than I am in like writing mode, but sure, definitely still working on some music for sure.
For Maui, who was it that made the beats for that? I didn't see credits or whatever for it.
I did 4 out of the 6.
Okay, nice.
So yeah, I got Rebel from Soundsmith. He did the first joint, Pray for Love joint. And then Eric Gordon, my engineer, who mixed and mastered the whole thing, he did Apples. And then Beautiful. the rest of the project I produced. I got some co-production on That Era from this producer, Rach, female producer Rachel. She's super dope, pianist, very nice with the keys. And then someone helped her with the loop that I ended up using. I think his name is BMC.
Okay.
I believe it was. But yeah, they put a loop together, and then I ended up using that loop and then making the beat. Nice. So yeah, I did the majority of production for that project.
Okay. And for the upcoming stuff, is it large chunks of it produced by you as well?
Yeah,
Yeah, nice.
I'm trying to flex my producer muscle a little more this year. You know, a lot of people don't know that I produce. And then when they're like, "Yo, man, who produced all this Running Gun music?" I'm like, "I did." And they're like, "Yeah, right." You know, so I'm trying to, put out a lot more of the stuff that I produced,
Yeah.
and then start showing people like, "Yo, I really do this." Like,
How about producing for other artists? Have you got anybody rapping on your stuff that you're not involved rapping on?
um, couple things in the works. Nothing really concrete that's like coming out yet. Um, Honestly, it got to a point like years back where I was just like, everyone had that. Well, not everyone, but the producers had that producer hustle era where we're trying to at least get like a few bills for our beats, or we're trying to get placements with majors and
Right.
stuff like that. And like, as time was going by, where it's like, okay, either these rappers just don't have money to pay, or they don't want to pay what I'm charging, or like, because I set my price and I'm just like, hey, man, I went from this to this to this to this to now it's just like, I want $1,500 or I want $2,000 or whatever it is. And
Yeah.
if you say no, or if that's too much for you, then sorry.
Fair enough.
Unless I rock with you like that, where it's like, okay, yeah, I'm just gonna lace you with some beats because I rock with your music like that and I want to create same way people deal with me, then it's cool. But like, I don't get too many people that hit me up for beats. And I just got to a point where I was like, yo, I honestly make beats for myself. Like, when I
Keep
cook
the good
something,
ones, man. Yeah, why not?
yeah, if I make something and I think it's fire, like, chances are I'm gonna start making a song to it before it even comes out of the program. Like, before I even have an MP3 of it, I probably have a song brewing for it. So
Nice.
yeah.
How much of your own music do you listen to? This is an interesting question because some guys hate listening to their own stuff and some guys love listening to their own stuff.
Man, honestly, I'm listening to myself 80% of the time. If I'm driving by myself, like, chances are I'm listening to myself.
Will it be unreleased stuff in preparation for, like, making sure you get the sequencing on the album right? Takes some listening to it or whatever.
Yeah,
Probably,
or if it's just something new that I recorded. Like, if I record something today and I'm
yeah.
really feeling it, I'm gonna listen to it for at least a week and a half, 2 weeks straight, and then I might throw it into a playlist with some of the other stuff. But like, honestly, I've been cooking so much music over the last year and a bit or so. Like 2024, like end of 2023 is when I got my setup at the crib.
Okay.
Like, that's when I really got it set where I was like, yo, I'm happy with the way the music comes out sounding without me having to send it to get mixed. So I just started cooking. So like, my 2024 catalog is so big and it was growing so fast that I was literally just listening to all my 2024 stuff all year last year. Going into this year, I'm just like starting to build up to 2025, but I'm still listening to stuff from 24 that I sequenced. And then I'm going back and I'm like, oh man, I forgot about these joints from 2023. So like, yeah, I'm listening to myself more times than not.
Makes sense, dude. Yeah.
It's just if I got wifey in the car or if I'm driving with people or whatever, I might put on something else just for a change of pace. But like,
Sure. Yeah. Well, and you got to find samples someplace, right? You mentioned listening to old stuff in the Isleys or whatever too, so that's probably a sample hunt some of the time. But yeah.
Honestly, it's because I've always listened to music like that why I know like certain samples that I've sampled before. It's got like, my dad always listened to like Shy Lights and Stylistics and all that type of stuff. So like, I listen to it too. Like, I actually enjoy it, like that Temptations like biopic, the little BET special that came out some years ago, like with the David Ruffin moment and all that. Like, that's like my favorite movie ever. So I'm a big fan of that like era of music, the Motown and like the after that. Like, Isley's is a little bit newer than that, like as far as what I listen to from them. But yeah, I like to listen to that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you can hear that influence in all your production for sure, man. It's all very soul based, and I dig it. I like that sound. That's always been a sound I've gravitated towards myself too in hip hop production. So yeah, absolutely. It definitely is stuff I enjoy listening to. Would you work with a live band? Have you thought about working with a live band? Because I think that sound can kind of often lead rappers in that direction, and you meet a couple guys who know how to play instruments and suddenly the band comes together.
I definitely would. I love live band. I've performed with a live band a couple of times, usually with Junior T. There's a couple shows he did back in the day where he had the live band and I was on the album. So like we would do our joint with the live band playing it. And then there was one time I did a set for Manifesto, which was like a Toronto festival, happened downtown at Dundas Square.
Nice.
I was part of Junior T's set technically, but I had my own set. So I had like a few songs, but his set, he had a band for. So I basically just gave my joints to his band. They played it and then I performed it with the band for that point. But outside of that, I've never done it, but it's always been something that I wanted to do with like just a show with me, you know?
Yeah. More cooks in the kitchen. It adds another element to like putting the song together in the first place compared to giving a band songs you've already made and having them learn it or whatever. But
exactly. And then having that little change of like the vibe because it's live now. So like, yeah, I've definitely always wanted to do that. I've definitely wanted to do that.
I mean, I'm looking forward to some people who play instruments stepping up to fill the void because yeah, I think your sound would go well with live instrumentation or whatever. I mean, not that it doesn't sound good over the beats you're making for it or anything. But,
no, I definitely hear you.
Man. Yeah. How about this, dude? What's the most annoying thing about being a rapper in Canada?
The most annoying thing, I guess, I think it's more about who is paying attention to you or who your following is and trying to focus on them and not what the masses are kind of paying attention to. Because when you see certain outlets that are posting all the rap, like, and then you see the comment sections and you're seeing who says what is sick and what's not sick, and it's just like, man, you guys think the people that aren't that good are good. But it's like, because that's what you're used to hearing, that's what you listen to, I get it. But like, I think the most annoying part, I guess to sum it up, is not knowing the difference, the masses not knowing the difference between someone who's actually a skilled rapper who knows how to really put the pen to the paper and like bar up compared to someone who can make a good song, right? Because you don't necessarily have to be the best rapper to make a good song, right? But like, they'll look at that person with the song they like and say, yo, he's a better rapper than him. It's like, no, he's not. Like,
a lot of people think that like the skill in rapping is like being able to say stuff really fast or like the actual dynamic of delivering it. And to me, it's more about what is being said.
And how you structure it, right?
Yeah, right. Because we've all heard the soccer mom that can rap Busta Rhymes or, you know, Eminem Rap God or whatever. Like, if you practice saying stuff really fast, you'll get it.
Exactly. But like, there's a science to like bar patterns and structures and schemes and then being able to say something dope and have it structured in a way where it's like, ooh, you know, like it takes a mind that will listen to like rap for a long time to understand like when somebody is really nice with it, you know?
On After the Smoke is Clear, I've been making a concerted effort to filter out as much of that as I can, because there are so many great like actual songwriters that at this point there are people who I see often who are like, you know, rapping on their songs and they've made a rap song and like it's passable, you know. I think most people would hear it and be like, oh, this guy's a good rapper. But like, if it's just song after song after song of kind of like cipher bars where you're not really saying anything or like, not expressing a lot, it kind of lose me or whatever. So I'm here for people with something deeper than that. But
absolutely.
Yeah, dude. Any predictions for what's coming next in hip hop?
Who knows?
Yeah, right.
Who knows? I've just been seeing, every time I open my phone, I see some wild shit. So I can't even say what's coming next in hip hop.
Well, and it's moving in all different directions too, or whatever. But
and I feel like hip hop is just becoming a wider spectrum with every passing day. Like,
for sure.
I think it needs to get to a point where we have more subgenres, so we can kind of like differentiate between, say, Conway the Machine and Playboy Cardi, you know, just to throw a couple names out there. It's like, we can't look at that as the same rap. We can't say they're both rappers and they both make rap music. We can't. It doesn't, it's not the same. You know, I feel like it needs to get to a point where things are a little bit more sectioned off on like a larger scale, I guess.
I think we've got to work to bring that idea to the masses consciousness, because there's a lot of people who just as outsiders look at hip hop and think, like, I saw a post about like who's the Canadian rap Rushmore, who's the 4 names in Canada or whatever, and like he was talking to people on the street and getting some of the same names. The Cardi was on there quite often, and you know, like, but then there were also guys who were kind of like obviously into the battle rap scene because they were naming off like 4 white guys who can all rap really fast or whatever, and it's like, okay, but so I think that the subgenres do exist, and like when I look at it, I know that like, okay, these guys are doing that over there, and it's about rapping really fast and like kind of more about the technicality of their raps, and then these guys are doing this over here, and it's less about that technicality of like, listen to how fast I can rap or like use big words, and more about writing good songs or whatever. And then there's party, and there's, you know, the club songs and trap songs and whatever, right? There are different lanes. It's just that I think outsiders look at it and they go, that's all hip hop, and these are the 4 best guys at it or whatever, you know. And I agree that we do need more subgenres broken down more clearly for more people, though, for sure, man. There's a lot of confusion around it. So I think last time I had you on, I was doing this same segment. I always do a how important is segment and just ask how important is this or that. You can be brief or long-winded with these, but I don't think I asked you these last time. I don't know. You probably won't remember whether I did or didn't. So we'll just go at it from a fresh start here. How important is making music videos these days?
Man, I've seen a lot of clips of people with their opinions on this, and what I would say, how important is making music videos? It's important if you have a following that's going to sit and watch a whole music video from you.
Sure.
If you don't, then short form content is what you got to do. That's just what it is. I love music videos. I like when a music video is dope and you can sit and watch it front to back and think, yo, that was a sick video. But what it's going to take for me to go from your social media or my social media feed to your page, to the link in your bio, to watch your music video, like, I have to be a fan of you to the extent that I'm going to go do that to watch your video. If I'm not like a fan of you like that, I'm not going to do that. So I don't expect people that aren't fans of me like that to go do that, right? And it goes to show, like, me and Goo, like, when we started the run and gun run and did Super C, like, we put a little budget out to shoot some videos, and like some of the videos, like, they didn't really do nothing crazy on YouTube, but then Super C came out, what, 2021, 2022, maybe, something like that. We cut those videos up and put them as like 60-second videos on Instagram last year, and some people are like, yo, this is dope, yo, when's it dropping? It's like, this has been out for years, you know?
It's always new for somebody, right? Yeah.
So, I mean, for me, it went to show that, like, making the music video was important because we were able to turn it into content later, but the music video didn't perform half as well as it performed as just a short clip, you know? And then when we said, okay, we're not going to shoot videos for these joints, we're just going to go shoot the short clip and put it out, they performed great on social media. So back to what I said in the beginning, if you got a following who's going to really go watch that full video, then feed them, you know. But if you don't, then you got to short form it just to, you know,
build up that crowd, and then maybe do full length down the line or whatever once people are already invested. How important is getting your streaming numbers up?
It's important because, like, that's like a measuring stick to an extent, you know. It's important if, depending on what you want to do, if you're going to try to go get like a label partnership or certain types of deals, then when they go to your streaming pages, they want to see that it's booming, you know. If your main goal is to make money, streaming's probably not the most important thing. It can be a part of your income,
Yeah.
but you're gonna make more money selling 50 copies of your album on Bandcamp than you're gonna make getting 100,000 streams or whatever the case. I don't remember the math, but like you're
Something
gonna
like
have to
that.
make you're gonna have to make get so many streams on your album to equate to, you know, that 50 to 100 sales on Bandcamp. If you're going 10, 15 bucks a pop, you know,
Yeah.
you're gonna make. It's gonna take a long time to make $1,000 streaming if you don't have booming streaming numbers. Like, so it depends on what you want to do. It can be important.
How about for you? Do you care about your stream numbers?
Not as much anymore. I do because I want to reach as many people as possible, you know, but
sure,
I care about it, but I don't stress about it anymore. Before I used to stress. It's like I'll put out a project and it's like, if it doesn't hit a certain type of stream, I'm like, man, nobody's listening to my music, you know? But like, you know, you get 1,000, 2,000 streams, like that's a lot of people. That's either a lot of people that heard it or that's a couple people that heard it and really liked it, you know? So it's just, and
if the music's good, they're going to hear it and you're going to convert some of those people into people who are actually invested and might go check out your links or, you know, watch the music video or buy a vinyl or whatever else. Yeah.
Exactly.
How about industry awards? How important are industry awards? Whether it's, you know, the local ones or the Junos or all the way up, really, the Grammys, any of it?
They're good for recognition. And when you're building like a resume or a press kit or whatever the case, like it's good to have certain things just because it's gonna help when you're pitching yourself for opportunities. If you can show that you have some sort of prestigious awards of any sort, you know, like it might be easier to book a certain type of show or whatever the case.
Yeah.
But at the same time, a lot of people that are doing amazing with their career don't have any of those awards. So it can be good to have. I wouldn't say it's super important to try to get one. And a lot of those things are super political, and it's like based on a lot of different things outside of how good the music is. So
yeah, that makes sense. Speaking of political things, how important is an artist's political opinion?
I don't think it's important at all. I think it's keep that shit to yourself, you know, because at the end of the day, regardless what your political opinion is, someone's gonna not like it. And that someone who doesn't like your political opinion might have been a fan of your music, you know?
Right.
I don't think it's that important personally. I know some people would say, oh, well, you know, like you got to stand on what you believe in. And if that's your opinion, you got to say it loud and proud. And if whoever doesn't like it doesn't, well, yeah, you can be like that. But like at the same time, you could also avoid the drama and just make good music and let people take from it what they will. You know?
Yeah, man, I can see that one from both sides. I've definitely talked to people who say it's super important, and you know, I think there's no right answer to any of these. These are all just opinion based and what people want to do with their music. But
that one could go both ways for sure. That one could go both ways.
Just during this past month of interviews, I have been asking people, do you have anything to say about the federal election? You wanna say anything at all about that?
Honestly, what I'll say is I haven't paid enough attention to start talking about it on a platform. You know,
that's fair, man. Yeah,
like I know the bit that I know, and I don't feel like I've paid enough attention or done enough research on this and that to really say, hey, I think this. Yeah, I can't really get to it.
I can respect that, man. You know, people should make their own decisions, and you know, if you don't want to tell people any which way to go, then you know, I just like opening the door for artists and seeing if people want to comment on that one, because it can make for some interesting sound bites. But
yeah, I'm not that guy.
Yeah, no, that's fair, man. Like I said, I respect it. I'm here for the music anyways. But
for sure.
How important is it that a listener understands your lyrics when they're listening to what you're saying?
A little bit. It's good for them to understand. Like, I mean, I listened to Ghostface for years not knowing what the fuck he's talking about.
Right.
So, I mean, it's good for them to understand because it can give them that insight into who you are. And I feel like I talk pretty simply, so like it's pretty understandable when I say things.
Point blank most of the time.
Yeah, I'm pretty straightforward. But at the same time, I like when I have bars where people are like, I heard that, but like, did you mean this or did you mean this? And sometimes it's like, yo, figure it out.
Yeah.
What did you think it mean? What did it mean to you? You know,
let them decide. I think that there's definitely a lure to that. What did it mean to you? Let them figure out mentality. Because like a lot of the MCs that I asked that question to bring up Ghostface. I think a lot of us rate Ghostface very highly, right? And we all know that he's a guy who we don't understand 100% of the time.
Yeah, Ghostface said it himself. He didn't know what he was talking about sometimes. So like we all, that's why he becomes that point of reference, because we know him specifically, like all of Wu-Tang kind of at the same time. Not all
definitely.
of them. Few of them, definitely.
A lot of them, yeah.
Yeah. But him mostly, like, when I go back and listen to certain joints, I'm just like, damn, what are you talking about? But it sounds so cold. Like,
yeah. Yeah, but, for sure, man. Especially when you get, 6 or 7 of them on the same track, then it really becomes a question of like, wait, what is this song about? It's not really about anything, and it's about everything all at the same time now.
It's just whose flow and delivery was the dopest, you know?
Yeah, exactly, man.
So yeah, I mean, I would love for people to understand everything, because sometimes when I think of the thought process I put behind certain bars, I'm just like, ooh, this is crazy. And then the bar just kind of flies over people's heads. It's like, man, I wish you got that.
Right.
But at the same time, like, you might come back to it a year later and get it.
Well, and not everything's for everybody. There will be some guys who get it because they're really, listening to the lyrics that hard or whatever. So
yeah.
This is a new one, dude. How about how important is finding the right venue for shows?
That's important. Yeah. That's important. I've done a lot of shows, definitely, and I've done certain venues where the venue itself was great. Location of the venue wasn't as great, So it's like, if I could have took this venue and plopped it on this side of the city, the show would have been incredible, right? Yeah. But then when you get to certain venues, it's like, because of the location, it's so dope, but it's like dingy, or it might not portray, what you want from it, or like, even like, I don't want to call any venue out and say that they're shitty, but like, there's venues where like they don't look great, the stage isn't high enough, whatever the case, but the sound in there is amazing, and it's a prime location. All right.
Some venues are definitely better than others for like getting the show photos from or whatever. And in front of the lights and
exactly. And then the vibe of the venue. Some of the venues, like, if the vibe is like brighter, it might give the show a little bit more of a professional feel, as opposed to that like hole in the wall hip hop vibe, which is cool. I like that sometimes. I grew up going to a lot of those hole in the wall type shows that were like some of the best shows ever, right? So yeah. I mean, I definitely think the venue is important. Different aspects of the venue, down to the location, the setup of the venue. Like, there's some venues that are just set up so stupid. Like, I don't know if you've heard of this venue El Macombo out here. Classic venue, Toronto shit. Like, anyone from Toronto knows El Macombo, and it was like one of those venues where, coming up, like, a lot of things happened there. I've been there a lot of times. They did a remodel. Still a dope venue, still a dope location, but the way they set up one of the floors is ridiculous. Like, you come in through the entrance, and then there's like a whole long strip in the bar, and then the stage is off to this side. So it's like, when the place gets packed and you're all the way over here at the front, you can't even see the stage. All right. And then the space from the stage going backwards is like not that big. So it's like, if you pack that place out, like, a lot of people aren't going to get a good view of the show. All right. So it's like little things like that. So the venues, definitely, I think venues are important.
Yeah, that makes sense, man. Yeah. I feel like I might have asked you this, but you've got some love songs out recently, and on Maui, there's definitely one that, like, I think it was called "Lady," maybe was the name of the track, where you got a verse for I don't know if she's your wife or your significant other, whatever. But how important is having or finding the right romantic partner for an artist?
That's extremely important. Yeah. People, like, if you don't have the right one, like, either your music career is not going to last, or your relationship's not going to last. One or the other is going to suffer. All right. So if you don't have someone who really understands, the grind and your love for what it is that you do, then one or the other is going to suffer. So that's definitely extremely important. Yeah, definitely. That checks out.
Okay, last one of these. Let's do how important is planning a rollout for an album?
I mean, a rollout to some extent is always going to be important. How intense that rollout needs to be, I think that could vary depending on what you're trying to do.
Right.
Having some sort of plan is always good, even if it's just, okay, I'm going to post about the album on these days. I'm going to do an Instagram story where I talk about it on this day and ask people what they think about it. Like just having like some sort of small plan is important. There are going to be times where, I mean, for me at least, where I'm just going to say, you know, fuck it, I'm going to put this shit out right now. And I just upload it. I'm going to put it out. I'm going to make one post about it. And then I might make a couple posts about it later. I might record a visual later, but like without as much thought in the background of it.
Sure.
But definitely some sort of rollout is important just to maximize the reach of it. You know, it doesn't have to be a big like high budget rollout every time where you spend a bunch of money on ads and videos and whatever, but definitely having some sort of game plan is good when you're releasing a project.
That makes sense. Yeah. All right,
Yeah.
dude. Before I let anybody go here, I appreciate you coming through to talk again. Always a pleasure, man. Before I let anybody go, though, I always ask, can you describe the local hip hop scene?
Describe the local hip hop scene. Man, honestly, the hip hop scene, like we were saying before, like a lot of subgenres, a lot of different things going on in different pockets and niches of the city.
Yep.
But overall, I think where the music and the talent is concerned, there's a lot. There's a lot out here. There's a lot of people doing their thing. There's a lot of people really getting busy. I think it could use a little bit more. I don't want to be cliche and say, "Oh, it needs unity and people got to come together." Or, you know what I mean? But like,
sometimes that's the truth, man. It's a cliche because it's the truth.
yeah,
Sometimes
that's just what it is. And I feel like it's more about like there being spaces for all the different, subgenres and niches to really like be there and like exist within it. Because like it comes back down to like everything, the venues, the promoters,
right.
And I do this because like the last handful of promoters I've ever had to deal with before I started like saying, I'm throwing my own shows. Like I don't care to do you guys shows. Like unless I'm getting paid like what I want, I'm not gonna do the show. Right? Because
that's smart, man.
Because a lot of the promoters, they'll be like, oh, yo, we want to get you to come do this show. What do you charge? And then you tell them what you charge, and then they want to like, kind of dance with you about it. They might give it to you, they might give you a little bit less or try to settle on something.
See how the sales for tickets go and whatnot.
But that's the thing. Right? But then they'll turn around and expect you to fill the venue as the artist.
Right.
Like, listen, if you think I'm good enough of a performer that you want to book me to come do your show, you're the one that's supposed to put a crowd there for me to perform for. You can't bank on me saying, okay, you booked me for this show. Now I'm going to spend the next 2 months making sure I contact all my people and making sure everybody buys a ticket and make sure everybody comes out to your show. And then if they're busy and if I don't bring out my whole entire squad, your show's going to flop and now it's my fault.
Yeah, I've never agreed with promoters like that either, man. That's always pissed me off.
When I throw my own show and I hit up my people and say, yo, this is what I'm doing, and then my show turns out to be a success, that doesn't mean that you can give me a fraction of what I made at my show to come do that for your show. That's not how it works. You know? So I think like that's kind of the state of the local scene is if you're not doing something yourself, you can't really bank on it being like what you want it to be, because everything is going to come back around to the work you put in and who you can bring out. Right? So that has a lot to do with it too. But I think if more people came together in the sense of like, if a promoter can really say, okay, yo, I'm putting this show together. I got this super dope act. Let me hit up people and draw them out to the show as if it's me, myself being on the stage. It would make for a better scene altogether.
Nice, man. Any plans for shows or tours that we can tell people to check out coming up?
Not in stone yet, but definitely there's gonna be a few shows before the end of the year. Definitely gonna be a run and gun show before the end of the year.
Nice.
Because we got a couple projects to celebrate that we didn't do shows for.
Is Heavy G still out in Calgary? You guys still
he's out
flying
there.
back and forth to do shows or whatever? Shit.
Yeah. He's out there. So we definitely got one that we want to do out here, and then me and you could talk off of the stream to set up something.
Hell yeah,
we
man.
could probably set it up where we do something here and then come to Calgary and Edmonton one time, all in like a span of like a week or something, you know?
That would be dope, man. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, make it work.
Any other artists locally you want to shout out, or people that should get more shine than maybe they have been?
Man, I always do this and then I forget certain people until after. I'm like, I should have said so and so, but just off the top of my head, because I listened to their projects today. Sazy, shout out the dog, Sazy. He
Two-Way Mirror out now.
Two-Way Mirror out now. That shit's crazy. I just listened to it today. Fire. Roshan and Gritfall from Baker's Club put out a little collab EP. Listen to that today. That shit's crazy.
Yes, sir. I talked to them May 6th coming up here.
Yeah, man. They went crazy on that one, man. I was feeling that project. I got a little shout out in there too from Roshan. So I was like, this is dope. I also listened to Ghost Boy RJ. I don't know if you heard of Ghost Boy RJ.
Yeah, I've been playing his stuff. I can't think of the name of his newest album off the top of my head, but I think I've played a few cuts from it over the last few years.
Yeah, State of Mind.
Last few weeks, I mean to say.
Yeah. He just dropped the album State of Mind. I listened to that today too. That's fire. So I mean, there's them. My producer, engineer, mix master guy, Eric Gordon. He's working on a lot of stuff with a lot of people. Yeah, man. Heavy G, obviously. He has music coming. Run and Gun got music coming.
He's got another solo coming? Heavy G?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, nice. Okay.
He does. Tona is always going crazy.
Yeah. That's a pretty good list, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Man. I always end up leaving out like a bunch of people, and then I listen back to the interview and I'm like, damn, I forgot to mention so and so and so and so. It's just these are the guys that are in my head right now because I was just listening to them today. So shout out all those guys.
Makes sense, man. Okay, where can people find you on social media most often, and under what name?
So just to clarify that, J.O. Mairs is J.O. Mairs, but on wax when you see a record come out, it's gonna be Big J.O. I'm just talking about Big J.O. now. Everything's upscaling, and I'm a big guy. I'm 6'5". For those who don't know, like I'm a big guy, so Big J.O. makes sense. You know, I've said Big J.O. on a lot of records. So on all the social media, everything is Big J.O. J.O.SZN. So J.O. season. On Instagram.
I feel like there's a cutoff. You can't be 5'8" and call yourself big somebody. And
no,
I don't think you could be 6'3" and go by Lil somebody either. So
no. I feel like you got to be like 6 something.
Yeah.
A strong 6 something to call yourself big anything, unless you're just a really big, person.
I mean, maybe if it's like you're the big homie or something, maybe if you're the OG like that, I guess you might get away.
Yeah, you gotta be an OG for that. You got, and I'm a little bit of both. I'm a little bit of all these meanings. I'm an OG up here too. I'm an older head. I've been at it. I'm well seasoned. I'm a big guy. Everything's upscaling from what I was doing before. So Big J was just appropriate,
Right on. So it's J.O. season on Instagram though, right?
Yeah, J.O.SZN.
Okay,
S-E-N, whichever. Yeah.
So that's where people can keep up. Again, man, people should check out the Maui album. I enjoyed it. Make sure they stay tapped in, and I appreciate you coming through to talk about the projects, man.
Most def. Thank you for having me. So Maui's out now. Big J.O. season's out now as well on Bandcamp. It'll be on streaming as of the end of the week on the 25th.
Nice. Looking forward to it. All right. Thanks, man. Catch you next time.
Peace. No doubt. Peace.
All right, everybody. So, make sure you check out his music, Big J.O. J.O. season on Instagram coming up. I've got a special interview on Sunday. Normally don't do these things on other days other than Tuesdays, but Gritfall's going on tour May 1st, I believe. So we made it work. We're gonna talk April 27th. He's got a new album called Johnny Rich that I think is out in a couple of days now. I think he has a single from it. I played the single on last week's At Sick featuring Trips, but talking to him April 27th. April 29th, a couple days later on Tuesday, I'm talking to Vancouver-based MC Hardbody Dreams. May 6th, like I said, I talked to Gritfall and Roshan. And then May 13th, I talked to Hellenbach. May 20th, I talked to Quake Matthews. And May 27th, I'm talking to Stephen Hero. So all the way out on the East Coast there for both Quake Matthews and Stephen Hero. Hellenbach is a Winnipeg-based artist, but he definitely has some roots out here. And yeah, looking forward to talking to all of these people. If you want to keep up every week, you can find everything that I do, Doobyis.com. There's new After the Smoke is Clear episodes every Thursday on mixcloud.com/Doobyis. Once again, we play hour worth of independent Canadian hip-hop every week, and it's always brand new stuff. It's never, like it's not like I just add a song to the rotation and you'll hear that every mix for the next 4 weeks. I play something once and you'll never hear it again unless you go find it yourself and buy it or find it on streaming yourself. I always encourage people, if you enjoy the music, support the artists, go pay $1 for a digital single. If you don't have the $70 that it often takes to buy a vinyl, I feel you on that one. If I bought physical copies of everything that I play, it would be a fortune, but at 99 cents a single, it is much more manageable, and it's still getting some money and some support to the artists. So I always encourage people to do that. But yeah, keep coming back Tuesdays. I'm talking to different artists, so hit follow whether you're watching on YouTube. These videos go to YouTube after they happen live on Twitch, twitch.tv/Doobyis. You can come through a lot of weekday afternoons. I'm hanging out on there, talking hip-hop, playing new hip-hop, putting After the Smoke is Clear together, all sorts of different stuff. Listening to new music as I game, just kind of doing reaction stuff. But it's been a lot of fun over there building community, so I encourage people to come through on Twitch and say hi. And appreciate everybody who was in Twitch chat today. I will catch you all next time.
Hello there.